If you're sick of going through breakups or you want to learn how to maintain and lead a healthy relationship, then this video is for you. I'm sharing 17 years worth of wisdom from the relationships that I've been in. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. And the advice I'm going to share with you in today's video is exactly what I implement in my current relationship. A lot of these relationship coaches or gurus haven't even got a relationship themselves, right? So you're going to be learning from someone that has a relationship and that's made a lot of mistakes. Let's get straight into today's video. Now let's talk about dating versus long-term relationships. It's one thing to just date a woman or be in a relationship where you see your partner maybe a couple of days a week, or you might see her on the weekend. A relationship is when the honeymoon period ends. A relationship is when you actually live with that person, right? Because that's when you see the person's true colors. So it's one thing to actually just date or be in a relationship, but actually living with someone is a totally different ballgame. And you want to make sure that you have the right systems in place in order for you to maintain a healthy and thriving relationship. So the main question here is, are you ready for a relationship? So I'll ask you a few questions. How's your relationship with yourself? Are you living in abundance? Do you already have internal fulfillment in your life? Are you already happy without needing someone else? Because if you've got an empty void internally, which generally is the reason why a lot of us men get in relationships to begin with, right? I did that throughout the course of being in long-term relationships for majority of my life. It's because I felt empty inside, right? So if you've got an empty void internally and you're trying to seek happiness by getting in a relationship with someone else, you're only going to go through another breakup. It'll be a matter of time before she starts to lose her desire towards you, and then she's going to break up and leave you, right? So we want to avoid getting in this position. So if you don't have these traits, you must focus on building yourself first. This is so important. This is the number one advice I would give any man, right? Going by all the mistakes I've made in previous relationships, you want to make sure that you build yourself first. So you want to focus on having a strong identity. You want to focus on purpose, direction, your self-worth. These are areas that you really want to pay attention to firstly before getting yourself in a relationship. And that leads to the second point, which is the core foundation. You got to understand that a healthy relationship is built on two healed individuals, not one therapist and one patient. So both parties need to have a strong relationship within themselves before getting in the relationship. This will essentially determine whether your relationship is going to be a thriving relationship or whether it's one that's going to take a lot of energy and time away from you. You don't want the person that you're getting in a relationship with to be a liability. You don't want them to take all your energy away from you. So you got to understand that the other person also has a secure attachment within themselves, because you're going to always forever try and heal and problem solve the other person's problems. And that's not your job, right? Your job is not to solve her problems all the time. You need to make sure that your problems are solved, number one, right, before getting yourself in the relationship. But number two, you need to make sure that you attract the right type of woman into your life. Not one that has problems, not one that just looks pretty on the outside, but that's damaged internally. It's not your duty. Okay, you're going to find that this relationship is going to drive you absolutely insane, and then you're going to go through another breakup and waste a lot of time, which we don't want to do, right? So make sure that you build yourself first, and when you focus on building yourself, that's when you're going to essentially attract the right person into your life. But on the flip side, there are a lot of guys that have healed themselves, but they try to get in relationships with a woman that has problems because they're so solution orientated that they think that they can fix the other person's problems. And that's when they turn into a therapist, right? And it's not your duty. You're not a therapist. You need to focus on the other areas that are more important than this relationship. So now that we've established that you need to build yourself first, you need to have the right core foundation before you get yourself in a relationship. Once you've met that person, how do you now maintain your relationship? So I'm going to keep it very simple and straightforward, and this is exactly what I do in my current relationship. You need to make sure that you maintain your masculine identity. Okay, what I mean by that is this. You need to become very selfish. Before your day even begins, whilst your partner is asleep, you need to make sure that you prioritize your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. You need to focus on your personal development. This is what I do each and every morning. Whilst my partner is asleep, before the day even begins, I get myself right. I get myself aligned. I make sure that I'm grounded. I make sure that I start the day with the right mindset. I make sure that I feel the high frequency emotions that I want to feel: self-love, inner peace, joy, gratitude. Because when my internal vibrational state is good, my external world is good. My partner might not be in a great mood, but because I'm full of energy, I got myself grounded, I'm able to lift her up. Right? This is very important, because you got to understand that leading your life first gives a relationship structure, security, polarity. And I know that when I show up for myself each and every day, I'm being the right role model. Those closest around me win because they get the best version of me. So when you put yourself first, you're being selfish for the right reasons. Your partner gets a better version of you. Your kids get a better version of you, right? So you need to make sure that you maintain your masculine identity. And this is something that you need to do on a daily basis. When you have systems in place, it becomes an automatic habit. It doesn't become a chore, right? So it will take time to make it an automatic habit. However, once you do this, this is what's going to allow you to maintain your relationship. This is a very important point to pay attention to, right? Because when you lead your own life, when your world is good, your external world is good. Those closest around you are good. Things don't bother you. You're emotionally grounded, right? This is exactly how you want to be as a man. So make sure that you have daily routines in place where you focus on aligning yourself before the day begins. Your partner's going to admire you. She's going to really look up to you, right? You don't want to include her in all these things. This is the time where you get yourself right. This is not a shared experience with your partner. That's why I say you must be selfish, okay? You must keep allocated time away for yourself to get yourself right while the world is sleeping. It's the best time to get this done, right? Then you win the day and nothing can actually throw you off course. Things that might seem like problems are not even problems, right? Because you've got the strong mindset. You're solution focused. You're able to solve problems, not create problems, because you got yourself aligned. So make sure that you maintain your identity. This is non-negotiable, right? Exactly like going to the gym. The moment you stop training, you're going to start to lose muscle size. You're going to get flat. You're going to start to put on body fat. Your mindset starts to get weaker, right? This is the same thing. When you've built this identity, you must maintain it. And the second point is putting a value on your attention. Focus on your purpose, enhancing your skills, your personal growth, reaching your goals. This is essentially the fuel that's going to help you feel that internal happiness as a man. Your happiness will never come from a woman, right? Trust me, I learned this the hard way. You're always going to feel unfulfilled internally, right? That's why I say you must have these areas covered before getting yourself in the relationship. But more or less, you want to focus on being very intentional with your time. You want to make sure that you plan your day. The whole point is for a woman to join your journey in life, not you joining her journey, right? So you need to make sure that you've built your world, or you're building your world and you're on your come up. It doesn't matter, but more or less, you're focusing on the areas that are important, right? Because this, as I said, is the fuel that keeps you going as a man. So for me personally, what I do is after I finish my morning routine, I set up my day. I'm very intentional. I know exactly how my day is going to pan out from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, right? I'm very intentional. I allocate specific time to get certain tasks done so I can make sure that I'm productive and I'm striving and getting 1% closer to my goals each and every day. So when it comes to spending time with your partner, what I personally do is I set intentional time aside to spend with her, right? It might be 30 minutes, it might be an hour, it might be 2 hours, it might be a bit more than that, right? But at the end of the day, I don't engage anymore in wasting pointless time, right? I've been in relationships where you just sit there, you watch Netflix, you eat junk food. One person's on their phone, the other person's on their phone. No one's present, right? It's like you're there, but no one's alive. It's like both parties are just in their own worlds. And you would have seen this before. Maybe you've been through this yourself, but more or less, that's not what brings your relationship closer, right? If anything, that's what drifts your relationship apart. You want to be focusing on the areas that are more important, right? I'm not saying your relationship isn't important, but I've done it the other way. I've prioritized the other person. I made them the center of my world. I didn't have that purpose, that mission, reaching goals. And I was just empty. And as I kept doing that, I lost my frame in the relationship. I would get complacent. And the second point is putting a value on your attention. Are you focusing on your purpose, growing your skills, your own personal growth, reaching your goals? These are areas that you need to focus on, right? Because a man's happiness doesn't come from being in a relationship with someone else. A man's happiness comes from him striving towards his goals, him being on his mission, him getting 1% better each and every day. That's what's going to give you internal fulfillment. So I make sure that when I finish my morning routine, I set up my day intentionally, right? I know exactly what needs to be done. I allocate specific time. So I'm not always readily available to spend time with my partner, and she knows that. Because I've been in relationships in the past where we spend a lot of time together because I didn't have that purpose. I wasn't striving towards anything greater. So we'd watch Netflix, we'd eat junk food, we'd just spend a lot of time. But guess what? We weren't present with one another's company. She'd be on her phone, I'd be on my phone, and it wouldn't lead anywhere, right? So at the end of the day, you don't want to kill the mystery in your relationship. You want to make sure that you're focusing on the areas that are far more important than being in the relationship itself, right? I know that might sound harsh, but your happiness comes from your own personal growth, getting 1% better, right? You need to make sure that you're very intentional with your time. Don't always be readily available. Don't pretend to be busy, because if you pretend to be busy, that means you don't have any mission or you're not striving towards anything greater in your life. And women can sense this, right? She'll figure you out and she'll know that you're just always available. There's no value on your attention. So what you want to do is prioritize your day, right? Make sure that you prioritize your time efficiently and that you're moving one step closer towards your goals, that you're on your mission. So for me, when it comes to spending time with my partner, I set intentional time apart to spend with her, right? So when I've completed my tasks, maybe I'll only spend 30 minutes with her, right? But at the end of the day, it's intentional time. Your partner would prefer to spend less time with you, but you're more present, right? You don't want to be disconnected. That's what's going to drive you guys apart. So I make sure that even though it's a short amount of time that we spend, it's very intentional. And on the flip side, you got to understand that because you're not always readily available, she wants to chase you. She wants to compete for your attention, right? So she's going to be essentially wanting to spend so much time with you, but she knows that you're busy, that you're focusing on your mission, your grind, which is again, very attractive to a woman. She likes this, right? She wants to keep chasing you. Women want to chase. They don't want to be with a man that chases a woman, right? That's very weak. So you want to make sure that you put a value on your attention, but you also spend intentional time with her, and it doesn't have to be long, right? It can be longer, maybe on the weekends, but for the most part, you want to make sure that you focus on your mission and your purpose, and that's what's most important. And let's talk about female psychology. You got to understand that it works in your favor. What I mean by that is this. When it comes to basic female psychology, they want to be with a man that's ambitious, a man that's on his mission, a man that's striving for more, a man that's reaching his goals, a man that leads his own life, who can then lead a relationship. That's the type of man a woman wants to be in a relationship with. So this works in your favor because what she wants is essentially who you should be, right? Whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship. So what she wants is she wants you to invite her into your world, the world that you're building or the world that you've already built. She wants to join you, right? She wants to join your mission in life. You don't join a woman's mission, right? She wants to join yours. Please understand that. So that's why I say you need to be focusing on your mission, your purpose. This has to come first because this is what's going to keep her wanting you. This is what's going to keep her desire towards you. You don't have to try as hard when you're focusing on these areas. The rest will just fall into place, right? Once you obviously lead your own life, but more or less when you focus on your mission and you put priority towards that, that's what she wants. A lot of guys think that, oh, I need to give her more attention, more time. You're actually driving her further and further away from you. She might say that she wants that, but she doesn't want that. Women can say a lot of things, but trust me, I've been with a lot of different women. I've spent a lot of time being in relationships. I understand female psychology. I know exactly what they want. They might say one thing, but they want the total opposite. So you need to make sure that you take this into account and understand female psyche before getting in a relationship with them. So let's talk about polarity, masculine versus feminine. If you want to attract a feminine woman, but not only attract a feminine woman, keep her in that feminine energy, you must be in your masculine energy yourself, right? And it comes down to, again, building yourself first, having a strong masculine identity, and then maintaining that identity on a daily basis. When you do this, you become solution orientated because you can solve your own problems in your own life by leading your own life. So therefore, You come up with solutions in your relationship. The biggest mistake that a lot of men make, and I've done this before myself, is they give away their leadership abilities to a woman. Please understand that every time you ask your partner, where would you like to go tonight for dinner? Where would you like to travel to? You're essentially giving her the ability to lead the relationship. And what that does is it makes her enter her masculine energy, which she doesn't want to do. She's not hardwired to lead a relationship. And what you're signaling to her is that you're not able to come up with a solution. And then she starts to slowly lose respect for you because she has to now come up with the solution, right? She's not built this way. Don't make this mistake. A lot of men make this mistake where they give their leadership abilities to a woman. You need to have effective listening skills when it comes to relationships, right? You need to understand what your partner likes, where she likes to go. You don't give women options. They don't want to be with men who give them options, right? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? You need to always be leading that relationship, right? You need to make sure that you always have things in the pipeline ready to do. So you got to make sure that you maintain your masculine identity each and every day, right? This will allow you to keep her in a feminine energy. This will allow you to think outside the box and lead the relationship. That's all she wants, right? I want you to think of this relationship as you're the captain of the ship and she's a crew member that's on there. So the moment you take your hands off the wheel, that's when she starts to steer the ship. And she's really going to start to lose respect for you because you're making her enter her masculine energy. So don't do this. Don't make this mistake. That's why I say you must be ready before you get in a relationship, right? So you're going to more than likely relate if you were in this position yourself. So understanding the polarity between men and women and how you must lead. It's not about being the grand alpha in the room, right? That's why I never use these modern day terms. I just say, as a man, you just need to lead your own life, right? Make sure that you get yourself right, maintain your identity on a daily basis, and it makes it much easier to maintain your relationship. And that ties into the next step, which is keeping a mysterious element in the relationship. This is what keeps her genuine attraction towards you, right? When you're mysterious, when you're not predictable. I'm not saying you have to buy her a bunch of flowers all the time, but what I'm saying is make sure that you surprise her. Make sure that you say to her, hey, this weekend we're going somewhere, get your bags packed, get some clothes ready, bring some bikinis, we're going to the beach, I booked a place, and bring a nice dress to wear for dinner, right? This is how I plan things with my partner. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm not always available to spend time with her, but I keep a mysterious element. I surprise her. I make sure that I'm thinking about the other person. And that's also another way where you can maintain her genuine burning desire towards you, right? By keeping that mystery element. Women like to be surprised. Women like to have fun. You got to understand. So when you take that mystery element away and become predictable, it loses the spark in the relationship. And me now being in this current relationship, there's still that mystery element. I used to speak to men that were in unhappy relationships or marriages, and they'd say things to me like, wait till you get into a marriage, your life will be completely over, right? And the guys that were telling me this were those typical happy wife, happy life kind of guys, right? I don't believe in any of that. At the end of the day, I know what it feels like to be complacent in a relationship and not have frame, and I refuse to be in a relationship that way. So I knew there was a better way, right? So I was just seeking the answers, but that's when I just focused on myself. And this made me maintain this current relationship much more easier, as well as learning valuable lessons from my past relationships, right? And that's what I've incorporated into this current relationship, and that's why it works. That's why it feels still like day one. We're even past the honeymoon period, but I've got systems in place which I've put in, which allows me to keep her attraction levels high towards me. So understand, by keeping this mysterious element is going to allow you to keep her attraction levels high towards you, right? It's not that difficult. Book a restaurant, book a date night, book somewhere where you guys can go together, right? Go travel to another country, create life experiences. Don't be so boring and do the same things, right? At the end of the day, be locked in with your mission and your purpose, but on the flip side, make sure that you're getting out there. Make sure that you're creating experiences with your partner. Take her places she hasn't been, right? So at the end of the day, you need to make sure that if this area is not fulfilled in her life, then she's going to get bored. She's going to get sick of you. She's going to start to lose interest. and then she's slowly going to emotionally detach herself from you, right? And that's when she's going to start admiring other men, and you don't want that to happen. So you got to make sure that you're always thinking outside the box. That's why you need to have a positive mindset, right? A lot of guys are consumed by their problems and emotions and all these things. You got to understand that you need to be grounded as a man. So in order for you to think outside the box, you need to get yourself right. Okay, this is the only way that you're going to be able to think clearly and not get boring. Okay, don't be one of those Mr. Nice guys and try and impress a woman and wow her all the time, right? I'm telling you, minimal effort is actually what means more to a woman when a man's intentional and he's all there. So I want to talk about disagreements, arguments, and boundaries. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. So for me personally, my partner is going through something, or she's in a mood, or maybe I'm bothered by something, whatever it might be, we make sure that we effectively communicate, right? If there's a problem or whatever it is, I want to make sure that I squash that problem and never return to it. And because I'm solution focused, I'm able to squash that problem easily. Because I'm emotionally grounded, I'm able to move forward from there, right? You can't have two emotional people in a relationship. I get it. Women are emotional creatures, but as a man, you must be emotionally grounded. So when it comes to disagreements, I sit my partner down, we talk about it, we move forward, and I make it clear that I don't want to return back to this again, right? Because it's going to take energy away from my purpose, my mission, which again is the fuel that keeps me going, that keeps me alive. So whatever's going wrong, yes, I'll be there for her, but I want to make sure that I squash this problem and move forward, right? So at the end of the day, it's all about fixing these problems and moving forward and not returning back to them, right? And when it comes to disrespect in the relationship, maybe your partner might say something unconsciously, but it comes across as disrespect. Raise your concerns. Stand up for yourself. Women would rather be with a man that doesn't be Mr. Nice Guy, that says, hey, whatever you just said then, I don't like it. It doesn't sit well with me. I'd appreciate if you don't say that again, right? Things like that. Just give you an example, but more or less you want to be able to direct this relationship by placing boundaries. You're not going to meet someone that's going to be perfect, that understands everything about you and how not to piss you off. So at the end of the day, she doesn't know, right? Even my partner, unconsciously, she might say something or do something, but that's where I have to stand up for myself. And I basically put boundaries in place, right? And she respects those boundaries. And at the end of the day, if a woman's not going to respect your boundaries, that's what I'm saying. You've got to have enough self-worth and self-respect to walk away. You've got to be prepared to walk away. A lot of men are not prepared to walk away because they don't have enough self-worth. They've tied their identity to the relationship, to the woman. That's why it's dangerous. But when you're not willing to tolerate BS and you put boundaries in place, women actually respect you more because you're standing up for yourself, and they want someone that clearly can just guide them, right? Women want men that essentially have everything all figured out, right? And I'm not saying you have to have absolutely everything figured out, but for the most part, if you understand them better than they understand themselves, I'm telling you, she's never going to leave you. She's always going to be attracted to you because you've got one step in front of her, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you're one step ahead of her at all times to lead the relationship. So when it comes to disagreements, arguments, boundaries, all these things, man, you need to really squash all these problems, move forward. Life's too short to be in a relationship with someone and argue all the time, right? And if you're always constantly arguing with this person, well, then you're just with the wrong person. So again, it goes back to the core foundation, right? If the other person has trauma or that has insecurities and weaknesses, it's going to really carry across in the relationship, and it's going to take away a lot of energy from you. So you want to make sure that you get in a relationship with someone that has somewhat of a secure attachment style. So essentially, at the end of the day, this is how I maintain my relationship. I do exactly what I discussed in today's video. I've done the opposite of this, so I know exactly what works and what doesn't work. And I only want you to have a thriving relationship, right? But it starts with you. You need to make sure that you pay attention to this video. Please watch it twice because there's a lot of value in here. So at the end of the day, I'm only sharing exactly what works for me. If this is something that you want to experience, you want to be in a relationship with a woman, but not only be in a relationship, you want to lead the relationship, maintain it, hold frame, then I can help you get there, right? I'd help you focus on the areas that are most important before getting in the relationship, right? So we'd want to focus on rebuilding your identity, having that internal fulfillment, having direction, having high self-worth. That's essentially the right prerequisites before getting yourself in the relationship. So if that's something you want to focus on, I can help you get there. done it for myself. I'm helping other clients as we speak. We're seeing amazing results. You can click the link down below. You can book a free one-to-one coaching call with me, and I'll see if you're the right fit for my program. So I hope this video has helped you. I hope it's given you some indication on how to actually maintain a relationship, but not only maintain, lead the relationship itself, right? Have a thriving relationship so you can get good energy from a woman. You can be with a woman that complements your life. And this is exactly what I want for you, right? That's why I make this video, because I know what it feels like to be in a relationship where you get complacent, where a woman starts to despise you, where she loses respect for you. I've seen a lot of men in unhappy relationships having that happy wife, happy life quote. These men are pussies, yeah? You don't want to be a man like that. You're going to be in a sexless relationship or a sexless marriage with no respect from your partner. And that's what's going to happen on the flip side, right? So you got two choices. You can either have a thriving relationship, or you can keep going through the pain of breakups and women losing respect for you. So that's why I make this video. I want you to understand that there is a better way, and this is the better way. This is what I'm doing. This is what I've tried. I've done the opposite. Doesn't work out. It is what it is. Yes. So as I said, if you need that help, you can click the link down below. But if you're new to my channel, you can hit the subscribe button. It really helps me keep making more valuable content. And if you like the video, give it a like. It always helps the algorithm. If you want to share your comments, drop your comments down below. But look, I'm going to end this video here. I hope you have a blessed and beautiful day. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.